Now mostly confident in his ability to hotwire a more reliable vehicle, Jules hopes he enters his clunker of a car for the final time in preparation for the day. Running dangerously low on fuel, his gas-guzzling ride dumps the contents of its tank back onto the road yet again, requiring Jules to feed it a few precious drops to make it the rest of the way. Making it within walking distance, he siphons the minuscule amount of fuel from his car before trekking towards the trailer park and the storage units. First checking the white truck he initially had high hopes for, he realizes the engine isn't nearly as pristine as he'd hoped and sets his sights across the road. Deciding between the two nearly identical trucks at the storage unit, he settles on the black one as his new ride, but holds off on experimenting on it as he delves back into the nearby facility. Finding a spare generator, he returns back to the vehicles in the lot before applying his clumsy knowledge to the two sacrificial rides, only deciding to attempt his hot wiring of the black truck once he had wasted his early blunders on the blue one. Delighted to see all his studying and practice pay off, he acknowledges the fact that he doesn't have enough fuel to make it back to the station, and probes carefully down the main road in hopes of another source. Managing to siphon a reasonable amount of gas right under the nose of the lingering undead, he pours the well-earned fuel into his new ride, before feeling a stubborn smile working its way across his lips. Driving back to his home in high spirits, he stops and takes the time to drag the wrecked car off the main road, knowing that he would now frequently make this trip in the coming days. Making it home as a steady rain begins to pick up, Jules takes the time to clear away the wrecks he had parked in his yard, before pulling his new beauty into the parking spot that was still stained with leaking fuel. Rewarding his hard work and determination with another dinner from a can and an entire bottle of wine, Jules feels accomplished, but still hungry to see even more progress. Spying the harsher rain mounting outside, Jules puts on as many layers before covering himself in a poncho he had picked up. Already he was struggling to stay warm, but being drenched to the bone would only secure his fate. Knowing he had ignored the necessary pursuit of food for too long, he sets his sights back on the trailer park once more, with hopes that he'd return with a truck bed full of calories. Parking in the peaceful courtyard he had fought so hard to achieve, he begins moving from house to house in search of anything he might need, but is eventually faced by the threat of the undead once more. Dealing with the shambling horrors with his now developed and systematic process, he hardly recognizes the amount of blood he is spilling, as his eyes stay ever present on the nearby trailer and his goal. Unable to find any food in the few trailers that were in relative safety, Jules repositions his truck and sets his sights farther across the park to the homes he hadn't cleared. Ignoring the chill and the rain, Jules' unshakable will keeps him focused on the essential clearing of the undead. Eventually, as the drizzle becomes a pour, and the dark clouds of storm roll overhead, Jules takes a small victory of acquiring some food before deciding to retreat back to his sanctuary to weather the coming thunderstorm. listening to the growing wind whistling through the trees as he begins the slow process of unloading and organizing his supplies. Jules eventually hears the roaring thunder he had predicted. Setting up the grill he had taken from the trailer park beneath his awning, he seeks the comfort of a warm meal amongst this dreary evening to help keep his spirits high and unbreakable. Waking up to a wet cold piercing his cozy room, Jules attempts to insulate the broken window before preparing himself for another run out to the blood-stained trailer park. Picking up where he left off yesterday, he quickly gets to work bloodying his blade as his stomach stubbornly growls in reminder. Continually disappointed by the amount of food he can secure, he doesn't let his dampening outlook slow his progress as his muddy feet carry him from one house to the next. Stumbling across someone's stash of weapons, Jules collects the bundle of tools with a half-hearted smirk before turning his direction back towards his waiting truck. Now curious if he could relatively secure the trailer he had planned on making an operating point, he locates a few clusters of the undead and begins to remove them with endless patience. Feeling safe enough to move inside once more, he surveys the work he had managed before making a list of all that must be done to make this exposed shelter secure. Not wanting to waste the light of the day, he sets out to search a few of the unchecked trailers to the north, while also measuring the amount of infected guarding their contents. Acquiring enough food to at least account for today, he eventually turns his attention back to his temporary home to make sure he felt comfortable enough to sleep in it through the night. Boarding up all the windows, Jules feels the ache of today's efforts seeping into his muscles as he indulges in one of the cans he had discovered, hoping that there would be many more to come with tomorrow. Relieved to be undisturbed through the night, Jules does spot a few stray walkers in the early light of the dawn that he dispatches before getting to work on carving his way north. Fighting past noon, Jules spots only larger and larger hordes blocking his path, as the homes he can reach provide only the bare minimum in food. Even having committed to his plan of waking up here had shown to have little effect, as the sheer amount of undead made progress agonizingly slow. I have neglected this journal for an entire week, but I suppose for a good reason. I have been relentlessly busy and diligent. Every waking moment, either my mind or my body is busy securing and fortifying my survival. So many things that I thought were out of reach have been returned to me, and now the danger of hope and aspirations is creeping back into my heart. This morning was the first day I woke up somewhere else besides the isolated radio station. It was also the first morning that the true bite of winter's chill showed its ugly face. I must remind myself that it is only October, and already my clothes aren't enough to keep me warm. Power and heat are the two most essential utilities I need if I'm going to make it through the coming winter. Thankfully, I've already found a generator, but I have to find some sort of manual or pamphlet that describes its operation so that I don't end up mangling the important piece of equipment. Heat is another matter. A wood stove would be ideal, but just the thought of finding one and dragging it up the hill to the station makes me ill. I'm tired of carving through the undead for what I need, but there's no denying that this is the world I live in now. It's dark, and I'm tired, so I shall leave this entry off here. Tomorrow will only bring the same violence that I have grown so resilient to. Jules.